Most brands scale on hype until they hit a wall of stalled sales, leaky margins, and distributor chaos. But Ella Parlor from ellaparlor.com, she fixes all that. She's advised companies like Red Bull, Fortune 500s, and breakout startups, and she wrote the #1 bestseller in alcohol and marketing. It's called High Tolerance. We're here with Ella Parla to solve some of these problems. And here's some crazy stories because she's seen e-commerce, she's seen stadiums, she's all about being direct and surgical. She's big in the beverage industry. But even if you're not in the beverage industry, there's a lot that you can learn about maybe relying less on the shiny branding, looking at your data, looking at your metrics. She's seen some things, she's got some stories. Miss Ella Parla, glad to see you again.
Oh my gosh, Robert, I am so happy to be back, and I think I gotta hire you as my personal cheerleader because your introductions are bar none. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Well, some chat GPT is to blame for that, and then some revising, and then when you're in the moment, you know how it is. You just pick and choose some things, and you make it all work, right? Use the tools in the toolbox. But you're one of my heroes. You're one of those people that inspire me because I love what you have going on. I love your energy, and there's something to be said about just people taking the time to promote themselves or to think about those big decisions, right? It's always so easy to go through the day to day, but you're the kind of person that says, hey, if you're looking to get this beverage company to fix some problems, to scale, to grow, you're the gal. So tell me about what has been exciting you the last couple of years.
Wow. Well, I can't believe it. It has been, I think, about a year since our last episode together.
At
It
least.
both feels longer and shorter, which is
Yep.
crazy. Um, but gosh, there is so much going on right now in the beverage industry. It's a little doom and gloom globally and very unfortunate. But I gotta say, when they say everything's bigger in Texas and the growth out here is definitely bigger, Texas is the place to be right now. If you are in the beverage sector, this is the place to invest. We are having just unprecedented double-digit growth across several categories, and it's a really exciting time to be in Texas. But overall, the industry is just facing a lot of, a big pinch, we'll say. And I don't think that's just the beverage industry. I think that's the economy in general. So it is easy to be doom and gloom, but there is so much opportunity right now.
Oh yeah, and it's every decade there's some kind of mess up, right? There you have the dot-com bubble burst, you have the Great Recession, you have COVID, and I know when I was younger, I was thinking oh my gosh, it's time to when do I slow down, when do I speed up, and then but people started saying, well, when times are tough, that weeds out the weak hands, and that's your opportunity to take advantage of the volatility. And it seems like from as a layperson, there's the volatility of the tariffs and the AI, which is both good and bad. But you tell me, as far as these crazy hijinks that are happening in the beverage industries, what are the upsets? What's going on?
Yeah, tariffs. I'm kind of sick of the conversation already. Tariffs are a really, really hot topic. And what I think is really unfortunate is that in 2018, and I want to say this very clearly before I go into tariffs, is that while what I'm saying is not political, there's no intention of being political or showing any political ideology. I just want to spit straight facts, right? Because when it comes to business, my politics, my party, I'm green. Not the Green Party, but money, right?
Yeah.
That's where politics come into my business. I just care about what's going to impact my bottom line. In 2018, President Trump, when he was last president in his first term, he had imposed some pretty heavy taxes in France when I was working on some French products. And we had a lot of conversations about it, and it was a pain, and we were dealing with what we call PIs in the industry. That means price increases. And when a product goes up in $1 cost, that translates for the consumer $6 at the shelf because of the cascading incrementality for margins down the pipeline, then the taxes on that new revenue. And so because of that, a $1 increase, a $12 case cost, typically there are 12 bottles in a case, yields a $6 increase to the consumer. So a dollar makes a big, big, big difference to your bottom line, because going up $6 for any product just about in the bev space That's not just a pricing increase. That becomes a rebrand. You know, you're now going from $10 to $16 or $10.99 to $16.99. That is a really big jump, and a lot of times a different consumer. And so this isn't anything new. And the way that everyone's talking about tariffs in the industry right now is very surprising because my smartest brands that I get to work with, we were preparing for the tariffs back in January. And what we ultimately did was we baked in the expectation of tariffs into our pricing models so that when the tariffs hit, yes, we would lose a little bit of margin, but we had already baked that in to where now, instead of going down to a 20% margin from 30, now we're going from a 42% margin to a 35% margin. And what that means is by eating that margin with those tariff increases, we are not increasing the shelf price. It's surprising to me how many brands didn't think about doing this in December, right after the election, and waited until this summer to address tariffs and now just want to inflate their pricing. It's quite a mess, to be honest. And where I think, to your point, the chaos and the mess, I personally love it. I think the complexities of Bev Alc make it really easy to lose millions of dollars, but also on the flip side to that, with the chaos and complexities, if you are strategic, if you are surgical, you can actually find the upside. And I think that I align a lot with Warren Buffett's mentality where he says, be fearful when others are greedy. So when was everyone greedy? In 2020, when everyone was drinking and everyone was making a new brand and all these new labels hit the market in 2020 because of compliance. But now everybody's being fearful, and it's such an exciting time to be greedy, right?
Right.
And so I'm really, ironically, I'm very positive and hopeful about this season because, to your point, we are seeing the strong contenders really rise above, while other individuals just kind of were a little late to the planning game when it comes to tariffs. But I would say that is the hottest topic right now in Bev Alc. Last year, the hottest topic was non-alcoholic alternatives eating into our segments and markets. I am so fatigued on that subject, but it is still a bit of a consideration. But right now, it's tariffs, 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 tariffs. All we're talking about.
Okay, but if it's not tariffs in a few years, it'll be whatever the next conflict is, right? Like it's not like we'll be conflict free. It's just how do we deal with it? And you're saying, well, how can I maybe be contrarian to what everyone else is doing? And even more importantly, is how can I plan ahead? That way I won't be caught with my pants down when this news that I know is coming or I expect is coming. I won't wait till the last minute and then have to panic, go under, people lose their jobs. You don't want any of that. And so it's just I know next to nothing about the about what's going on with Beverage other than it's always exciting, right? You go down the grocery aisle and there's like C4, there's Ghost, there's Liquid Death. It's like that makes me laugh the most, right? It's like it's on purpose like dangerous, but it's just water and it's just a can. And so just like what kind of like silly stuff have you seen that like maybe like defies logic or is fun or just like works? Because there's the bad but there's also the good, isn't there? There's lots of like fun opportunities and calculated risks. So what's the upside? What's the positivity?
Well, what is so fascinating, I mean, having been in this space for 20 years, Beverage is almost 20 years, not quite, but um, Beverage continues to excite me because it evolves with people, right? Just like food, how we drink. We all need to drink something, right? It's part of the human experience is we're going to drink water, whether it's Liquid Death or, Aqua Equity, one of my favorite brands. I think that what we can do is you can take this human experience of consuming a beverage, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, or otherwise. We all do it, but then there are so many different ways to do it now. I mean, whether it's the packaging, whether it's the format of where it's delivered. So having, water in an aluminum can, somehow that's monumental and it works, right? They've really crushed it. Liquid Death, what they've done has been amazing. So I'm really excited about what's happening in beverage right now because what we're seeing for the first time is a lot of DTC brands, so brands that are kicking off in someone's basement, so to speak, and selling online and getting some traction there. But I still say retail is the way to go. Where you can go into your local grocery store, convenience store, club store, the Costco's and Sam's Clubs, your local regional grocery store, wherever you get your beverages, I would say that that's still the number one place where people are getting beverages. I don't think e-commerce is as popular. When we look at Amazon, of course, they're one of the top e-commerce channels in the world. However, for beverage, they're not even, I don't think, number 10, meaning that there are 10 other places that you're likely to buy a beverage before you go to Amazon to buy a beverage. So there's a big gap there. And I think that has to do with weight and freight. And that's just a problem that we'll never get rid of. Liquid
Right.
is heavy, right? And so something that I've seen, a brand that's emerging, and I almost hesitate to talk about it because they're doing such amazing, incredible things, but they don't have a big online presence. And it's really exciting to watch from the sidelines. Is this brand that is doing something that no other alcoholic beverage brand has done so far. And they're kind of becoming the official favorite brand of Gen Z. They're a Japanese hard soda. Their positioning is so unique, and what I'm so excited about is that they have these two influencers who I had never heard of. They're YouTubers. I am not their target audience at all, but just sitting on the sidelines and eating popcorn and watching this brand grow has been fascinating, because these influencers are doing something that no other celebrity I've ever seen do with a beverage, probably besides, if we're allowed to say the name anymore, P. Diddy with Ciroc, which is everything that these influencers are doing. They're putting the product in, they've integrated it completely with their lifestyle, with their videos, with their content. And we don't see that. You'll see that, the big one right now is the Kelsey brothers just launched a beer called Garage Beer, but they're not carrying a garage beer in hand in everything they're doing. You probably won't find it on their recent social media posts, and you certainly won't see them crack it open at an NFL, venue. But what I think is interesting with this product that I'm talking about, and I'm still a little hesitant to name, is that these influencers, I mean, they always have it in their hand. I'm like, I don't even know how compliant it is to just always have this product in your hand. And I think what it says to us is, Gen Z, they do drink alcohol. There's a feeling or a sentiment that they don't. The fact is they do. They're buying alcohol by the millions. But they want brands that are really authentic, not someone who just hired an influencer or an ambassador just to slap a famous name. They want to know that, oh wait, you actually enjoy this product. You're actually integrating it into your life. It's not just a lifestyle brand that you're trying to make money off of, but this is a product that you're passionate about. And so I am too, also passionate about it. So it's really exciting. It's a different segment. There's no clear competitor, which I also think is interesting. To be able to make a new lane in the beverage space is not easy. So I'm just really fascinated about what's happening, because again, I think we're seeing a lot more quiet moves in the beverage space right now. I don't know that you need to be the loudest to be the most profitable.
Ooh. And is there a way to name drop this Japanese hard soda, or is that not allowed?
I will, Grog.
Right.
Here's my concern with naming them, because they don't have a huge online presence. Like it's almost like a best kept secret, if that makes sense. My hesitation really comes that I would hate to take down their brand equity in any way. I wouldn't want to, like, by even making them a part of the conversation, does it make them less cool, if that makes sense? Like, I think they're such a cool brand that I wouldn't want to do anything to impede on the incredible momentum that they have. And quite frankly, again, you and I are just not the target consumer. I don't know who their target consumer exactly is. I just know that they're funky and fun. They're going to Comic-Con. They're dressing up like their favorite Marvel characters. They're, on YouTube, they're big gamers. They're a little bit younger than you and I. And it's just really exciting to see the new face and the new generation of Bev Alc, because it's something that we in the industry have been studying for 10 years in anticipation of Gen Z turning 21. And now that they're here, they're kind of making their own mark and splash with a product that is wildly different than anything that we drank or that our parents certainly drank.
And so this is on purpose, right? They're on purpose being cool and not having a website and not being easily found. That's part of the positioning, right?
Yeah, and again, they have a website, but they're not focused on SEO and SRM the way that so many other, sorry, SEM, the way that so many other brands are focused right now. I think the DTC excitement really got a lot of brands too focused on digital advertising, meta advertising, and they're just breaking the mold by doing their own thing and creating their own media channel through YouTube influencers. And we just haven't seen that yet done successfully, at least in the industry. So I think that's what's really great is I think it just speaks to the Gen Z consumer, which is they don't operate the way that the rest of us do because they truly are the internet generation. We are the newcomers to the internet. We grew up with like knowing about the internet but not really leveraging it until, you know, our teens and 20s. But this generation grew up, you know, learning how to type right away, probably before writing. And so it's a very fascinating way to see their purchasing habits. They're still shopping in retail. One of the misconceptions is that they're e-commerce heavy, and we're all e-commerce heavy. We all love Amazon. But they're still going into retail stores. And so that's really exciting to see as well. They're just going through the digital marketing now. That's what's driving the retail is that digital marketing. And again, I haven't seen another brand be able to unlock that at the same rate.
Right. And that's always like why companies need someone like you, right, to think these things through, because it's like the joke is, well, if I see a commercial from the Dairy Council about milk, like why do they need to advertise milk? Am I unaware that milk exists? It's like, oh, to keep it like in my mind so that when I see it, then I make the connection later. It's like a multi-step process. It's not just like, hey, I see this thing, I'll buy it instantly. And so you say that, well, there's like the retail purchasing going on. There's the direct to consumer. Sure, that's available, but you said like weight will always be a problem. There's the influencer advertising happen. So there's like all these different channels, and it's like, hey, we need to be aware of this and who we're targeting and where they're hanging out and what's getting them to take action and like looking at all that data. And it's like such a cool industry and such a cool problem that you solve. But you're the expert, right? You're the star of the show today. And I want to make sure that in these last few minutes, we cover what's important to you. So in this conversation we're having about branding, marketing, positioning, bev, alc, all that cool stuff, what's the missing question in our conversation? What should I be asking you? I just don't know what to ask you.
Oh, ooh, I like that. I haven't ever flipped it that way, Robert. I think that's a really great question.
Feel free to steal it.
I love it. What question are we not asking? I think the biggest question on everyone's mind right now in terms of disruption and beverage is what does THC, you know, where does THC play in the beverage space right now, especially when we talk about bev alc. And I think that the question that nobody is asking on that front is where can bev alc and THC play together in the sandbox? Too many people are positioning the two against each other, but I would actually argue, and I've never worked in THC myself, I don't have the answers. I always say if I knew what the future of cannabis in the United States of America would be, I would put my money there so I could be on the forefront of the investment side. I'm just not too sure yet, and I'm quite frankly a little nervous and scared about it, but I also, again, right, when you feel a little fearful, that might be the time to get greedy. And I don't mean greedy as in actually being greedy, but just making more bold moves towards what maybe everyone else is shying away from, so you could be at the forefront, so you can have that initial investment and really strike gold. So I think that's the question that's missing nowadays. You know, where does THC fit into the bev alc conversation, beverage conversation? I think what Total Wine is doing in America is wild. Like, I don't know how else to describe it besides wild. Like, Total Wine sells THC or cannabinoid products. Like, that just blows my mind. And the section's only getting bigger. So it's very fascinating.
And I think that the lesson I'm getting from you is how important it is to stay curious and to just stay on top of things, right? Know what's not happening right now, but what's coming and who is setting up where and what kind of like regulations, what's happening good, that's what's happening bad. And so who are your people? If someone says, I've been really impressed with just the nuanced conversation we've been having, who are you targeting, right? We don't just show up on podcasts for our health. We want someone to say, hey, Ella Parlor, who is in Beverage. She sounds amazing. I want to reach out to her. Who would you like to be contacting you?
Oh, you are so wonderful. Right now, I'm in a phase where I've really enjoyed building brands. I've built hundreds of brands now in my career, and I've loved working with really big brands and also small founders who are scrappy and learning how to work. But where I'm at right now, and the conversations that I'm having are really with PCs. Um, PEs, VCs, angel investors, family offices. So, really working with investors who might not have experience, especially on the commercial side of Bev Alc, but want to jump into that lane as a diverse as for to diversify their portfolio and revenue. And so for anyone who is trying to invest in the Bev Alc space, I would absolutely say employ my services, check out my website, check out my content, do your due diligence from the beverage industry side, not just from a consulting side, to make sure that wherever you land, you're not only mitigating loss, but also not losing out on the next huge beverage opportunity like Casamigos or Poppy. Sometimes what something seems like a really big risk on paper could actually be a really quick fix if you have the right operator, such as myself.
Very nice. So if you are missing that piece, if you need Miss Ella Parlor to help you scale smarter and get to those stronger sales and think these things through, then that's ellaparlor.com, ELLAPARLOR.com. You can book a strategy call there. You can find her at LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Ella Parlor. And if you're doing your due diligence that she talks about, you're looking into her, she has this excellent book called High Tolerance, The Intoxicating World of Alcohol Marketing, because Ella Parlor doesn't just market cocktails. She's helped design the playbook behind the brands you can't stop ordering. And that's ELLAPARLOR.com. You find her on LinkedIn. You get that conversation started if you're just missing that piece and you want to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. So ellaparlor.com. And while we're going there, Miss Ella, in our final few seconds, it's time for the scary part of the podcast where I try to stump you. I try to put you on the spot by asking you about a fun quote or lesson that has served you. So what comes to mind? I know you're a big Warren Buffett fan. You mentioned that, but as far as a conversation capper, what comes to mind as far as a fun quote or lesson?
I said this in a meeting earlier today, and it's something that, we just started the NFL season, and I'm a big football fan. If you don't know that, I'm a big football fan. So I got to say, for anyone who's out there, remember, who's the loudest in the stadium? It's not the players on the field doing the work. It's the people standing around just watching. Don't be so dissuaded or empowered by the noise. Keep in mind who's actually playing the game, who's got skin in the game, and who's in the field grinding with you. Try to mute the noise if you can. It's not very eloquent, but I'll fine tune it later. But it was an epiphany that I had after watching a couple NFL games, and I'm like, gosh, the stadium is so loud, but they're not doing anything. They're just on the sidelines watching.
Yeah, they're a distraction, right? How focus. You don't put it at equal levels of importance. So let's think about that as we consider what we should do about our Bev Alc brand. She's open to full-time, part-time, or fractional roles. That's ellaparlor.com. Proud U.S. Marine Corps brat, karaoke queen, podcaster. Go check her out at ellaparlor.com. You'd be glad you did. She has 20 years of experience scaling beverage brands such as Red Bull, AB, and high growth startups. So check her out. Her expertise spans sales execution, trade marketing, channel strategy, and operational optimization levers that determine whether a brand scales or stalls. ellaparlor.com. Wonderful catching up. Great talking to you. Nice chat.
Thank you so much, Robert. Have a wonderful day.